Hello and welcome to this review of my Dell AT101. It is part of an important family of keyboards nicknamed the Alps Bigfoot, so named because they were A, originally made by Alps Electric, and B, huge. The Dell AT101 is the most important member of this family in the West, and the three most important versions of this keyboard are A, the original, the Dell AT101, FCC ID GYUM97SK, made by Alps Electric, and it has the old Dell logo, no Windows keys, and it uses Salmon Alps switches. Of the three, it is the rarest and the most desirable, and I used to have one, but it was very broken, so I disassembled it. It is also very expensive. It comes in a wide price bracket ranging from 80 to up to £160, so expect to pay a hefty sum for these. The last is the Dell AT101W, FCC ID GYUM97SK, made by Silitech, and it has the new Dell logo. It includes Windows keys, and it uses Black Alps switches. Of the three, it is by far the most common and the least desirable, as well as the cheapest. It is pretty easy to get one of these for around £20. And then finally, there is this one, also called the Dell AT101. It is chronologically in the middle of the three, and it has FCC ID GYUM97SK. It was made by Silitech, but it has the old logo and no Windows keys, but it does use Black Alps. Most old logo Dell AT101s are this version, but they are much rarer than the AT101W, so they still tend to go for the same high price as the other old logo keyboard. At first I thought that apart from the logo and the lack of Windows keys, it was exactly the same as the Dell AT101W, as it's made by the same manufacturer, it has the same case and uses the same switches, but there are a lot of differences actually. In almost every way it's a middle way between the older and newer design, but one or two things are unique to this keyboard specifically. First of all, it's heavier than either of the others because of the addition of a stainless steel plate at the bottom of the case. This plate weighs about 160 grams. I weighed this on an analytical balance in our lab. It's pretty strange when you think about it, that someone would want to add weight to a product, to make something feel heavier, whereas nowadays the trend is more towards light and flimsy and monolithic aluminium. But these were the olden days where heaviness and sturdiness pretty much went hand in hand and things were expected to last for a long time. So the addition of a steel plate to a product like this is not particularly strange, at least not during those days. The keycaps are also different, and they're kind of a middle way between the two others. It's made out of thin ABS, like the new logo keycaps. The old one has thick PBT keycaps instead, but like the old logo keycaps, it uses dye-sublimed ink for high-quality printing rather than laser ink, which is cheaper but also not as durable. You can actually wear lasered lettering off after a long time, whereas this is much harder with dye-sublimed printing. Here is the model sticker of the keyboard. You'll note it says model AT102 because this is the ISO version rather than the ANSI version. And it was made in Taiwan rather than Malaysia, like my new logo keyboard. It's also much older. This one was made in 1992, whereas my new logo one is from 2001, which is actually one of my most modern keyboards. Fortunately, this keyboard is in very good condition. There are some foam spots in the cable, so it appears to have been in a styrofoam box for a very long time, and that would probably appreciate why it's so clean and in such good condition. Even the cable is a middle way between the old and the new keyboard. It has coils like the AT101, but it's fairly thin, just like the AT101W, and it also ends in a PS2 connector rather than a 5-pin DIN connector that the original keyboard had. Just like the new logo Dell AT101W, it uses Black Alps switches, but the Black Alps in this keyboard appear to be substantially different from their new logo counterpart. Visually, you can tell them apart by the presence of these slits to the side of the slider, which are not there on the Black Alps in the new logo keyboard. The Black Alps in this keyboard also have a very different sound and feel compared to those of the new logo keyboard. Ever since I discovered this difference, I've been referring to the two as Alps SKCM Black Late and Alps SKCM Black Early. And before you ask, The difference is not an artifact caused by the difference in keycaps. I tried swapping the keycaps, but the difference in feel and sound persists between the two. Now, late Black Alps get some stick because their feel is rather rough and that tactility is not very sharp. In fact, I once referred to it as a linear tactile hybrid switch. They're still underrated in my opinion though, and in fact I maintain that the Dell AT101W should be everyone's first mechanical keyboard. These early Black Alps are completely different though. Don't make the mistake of thinking they're similar, because they might as well have been made by a completely different manufacturer, and in fact if someone tells me they were, I would not be surprised at all. They feel much smoother, and they have a much stronger and sharper tactility, as well as a better sound. The typing sound from the Dell AT101W with the new logo is generally said to be fairly hollow and rattly. It's not a bad sound, but I can kind of see where they're coming from. The switches in the older keyboard sound quite different though. I'll give you a quick typing comparison. So first the new logo keyboard. And now the old logo keyboard. So you can tell there's a definite difference in sound there. So although the newer Black Alps are still pretty okay switches, it does feel like these older Black Alps switches are really what Alps intended the switches to be. They even sound much closer to other tactile Alps, such as the Salmon Alps that preceded it. For instance, here is my Apple extended keyboard, which has Salmon Alps switches, which preceded the Black Alps switches. Although these have a lower pitch than those early Black Alps switches, they do have the same type of sound, so to speak. They don't have that rattly quality about them. I'll give you a quick comparison between the three. So this is the Salmon Alps. These are early Black Alps. And these are the late Black Alps. Overall, the early Black Alps in this keyboard are considerably superior to the late Black Alps in the Dell AT101W. The sound is much nicer, not as rattly, and the feel is much smoother and a bit more tactile, which addresses the two main issues most people have with the Dell AT101W. The biggest disadvantage of this keyboard is that it comes with the rather steep old logo price tag, rather than the new logo keyboard, which is very forthcoming and very cheap. In fact, it's one of the cheapest mechanical keyboards you can buy. Overall, it's probably not worth £160 or how much these old logo keyboards get up to, but for a more reasonable price, it's definitely worth getting. It has great switches, very nice sound, and like all Dell AT101s, it has a great build quality and a nice weighty presence. It does take up quite a lot of your desk space, but I would say that it looks pretty good, so it's not exactly like you're soiling your desktop or anything. Anyway, that's it for this review, and following is a typing demonstration of me typing on this keyboard.